What's up? Chris here. We're about to dive into something new. I could say, is it a Bambu killer? Is it an AMS override killer? We're about to find out. What is it? It's a company called Print. What do? They make multi-filament systems for what? For just about every printer on the market. Currently, after speaking to the CEO online and through extended communication, at the moment, through development stages and the final process of finalizing the product itself, it can support 90 plus 3D printers. That is insane. What is it? It's called the ChromaSet. It basically is a full system upgrade to any printer. I'm talking if you've got a 10-year-old printer, 15-year-old printer. I'm talking if you've got the earliest of earliest Creality printers, even if it's running Marlin, if it's an artillery, if it's G-Tech, if it's, what have we got here? I can't even begin to start. I'm overwhelmed with information. I had to bring out a data sheet just to run through everything. We're going to run through it. We're going to go through the specs. I've got some information here that no one else has got. We're going to go in depth. We're going to find out the specs of the ChromaPad, which is that little touch screen on the screen. Yes, it does look like a Sonic pad from Creality, but it's not a Sonic pad from Creality. It does run Clipper, but it's not. It's an open source, but wow, is it a Sonic pad on steroids. It is powerful. Also, as you can see, there's a chroma head there, pictured on screen. It's got some filament Bowden tubes running out of it. It's going into extrusions. It's got some filaments on the rack there. It's sitting pretty on a little tool bench. That is nothing compared to what we're going to dive into and what it can do and what it's capable of. If this thing turns out to be what I think it's going to be, I've backed it because I believe that it's going to be insanely good and revolutionize the 3D printing industry for color, multicolor printing. Bambu Labs, AMS, they're going to have not trouble, but they're going to have a lot of work ahead of them because they're about to be blown out of the water March 2024. So this is the ChromaSet by CoPrint. Let's jump into it. Let's watch a video clip. Just as a brief on it, and then I'm going to go through every single component. I'm going to run through the stats, the specs. I'm going to go through the hot end. I'm going to go through the fans. I'm going to go through the specs of the ChromaPad, the chipsets that running, the configuration, the boards, the stepper drivers, the extrusion rate, the gear rate, the gearing, everything. I've got it here. I've got it written down. I've spent hours collaborating this information. Let's just dive into it. Let's play this intro video. Let's watch it. Let's get into it. Let's get a vibe for it. And let's really see, for once, what this thing is capable of, because there's not a lot of information out there. And now there is about to be. Let's do it. Let's go.
Your 3D printer can't keep up with your imagination anymore? Then it's time to meet with ChromaSet. Introducing ChromaSet, a complete bundle specially designed to enhance your 3D printing experience. It brings color, speed, and ease of control to your printer. ChromaPad, the heart of ChromaSet. It's the world's first multi-filament enabled 3D printing pad. It brings a universe of possibilities to your fingertips.
Now, I don't want to ruin anything. I'm just going to pause the video real quick. I don't want to say too much too soon because I've got a lot to get through, and I'm just pumped. I'm excited about it because I really want to tell you something. This ChromaPad, if you have a printer that does not run Clipper, I know there's a lot of printers that have come out. 2023 has been a massive year for 3D printing, but if you've got a printer that's still running Marlin or an older style firmware printer, and you've got this ChromaPad kit, you have a full-fledged Clipper system that can not only run 4 extrusion filament feeders, it comes stock with the actual chroma head that feeds 8 into it. And I'm not going to tell you too much more, but all I can say is in the long run, if you expand this system, yes, this is true, I'm not exaggerating, you can run up to 20 rolls of filaments. Could you imagine the prints that you could do? I can't I'm too pumped up. Let's keep going. Let's get this video out the way and let's jump into it.
Seamlessly connect up to 8 3D printers. Control them all
8
remotely.
3D printers. Sonic Pack
Improve
can
your
do 4.
workflow efficiency.
Think about that.
Compatible with all 3D printers. Its extended slots provide seamless integration.
It's
Real-time
compatible
monitoring with a
4xY,
USB
bed
camera.
singers, and people were saying Vorons.
Behind the centralized control functionality, there is a robust integrated processor. Its advanced processor also brings speed.
Now, you might
Get
say
the product in your hand 3 times faster.
you might say that a Banshee printed in 24 minutes and 39 seconds with only 10,000 milliseconds of acceleration. Isn't that fantastic? Considering your machines like the K1 Max, the Bambu, P1S, they're doing 20,000 plus millisecond acceleration. You know, up a maximum of 500 to 600 milliseconds, which they don't advise to do. That's only the max speed. To print 300 millimeters a second with only 10,000 millimeters a second of acceleration for 24 minutes and 39 seconds, when it's not even optimized, it's straight out the box on an old Ender 3 at 300 millimeters a second, and that's the recommended speed. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. To 24 minutes 39 seconds without even accelerating anything. I don't know what the Bambu Labs prints multi-filament at, but that's crazy. To be able to get a printer, a 10-year-old printer, whack a clipper system on it, a head on it, for probably, you know, I think the kit, I'm going to go into the prices later, is less than the cost of a K1 Max or a Bambu P1P. You can get any printer that's a $200 or $300 printer and have it a multicolor printing system that can print up to 20 colors at once, printing at 300 millimeters a second. I don't know about you, but to me, that's freaking exciting. I'll try not to swear, but that is crazy. That pretty much, if this goes as well as what I say it's going to go, you know, haters are going to hate. But how can you hate people who can't afford the highest and best speed text printers, and they've got their Enders, their Artilleries, their G-Techs, their, you know, all these different types of Elegoo, Artillery, Sovol, Anycubic, Prusa. I mean, if you've got any of these old printers, you know, that are currently running at 55 millimeters a second, and you've got to boost them with fans and print, you know, new fan modules and tweak the extruder, and just to get 100 millimeters a second print time, and you're not even really getting that because your inner and outer wall speeds half that, your infill speed, you know, your final layer speed's a quarter of that speed, and then you throw this kit on there for half the cost of a K1 or a P1P, and all of a sudden you're printing at 300 millimeters a second for the cost of less than a P1P or a K1 Max. I mean, that's just crazy. That's insane. You know, not to say that on top of that, that we'll get into this, but it can be put on those systems as well. Apart from Bambu Labs, let me just say that. Apart from Bambu Labs, I say labs, just as a bit of a joke to all the Lamboy fanboys out there. Why? Because I can see this thing kicking the AMS's ass. So let's jump into it. Let's play it. Let's move on.
Faster.
I mean, look at that.
Chroma Screen. Our advanced Clipper-based built-in software.
Now, if you look at that straight off the bat, that's just an alphabetical order. I can already see in the first version of the firmware, they've got V2s, CR10s. The CR10 Smart Pro, I've actually got one running a Sonic pad. It's only 12 months old. You've got Annets. They're looking at, basically, they're working at the moment, they're working with Delta 3D printers to incorporate those as well. It's going to be, yeah, it's mental. You know, let's move on.
Offers an elegantly
guys,
intuitive interface tailored for the art of multicolor printing. Setup Wizard ensures hassle-free experience.
I mean, you can just see there, well, it's skimming through, the one big thing that no other printers support, and I don't understand why they don't support this, because it's so cheap. I mean, I can go and buy one of these 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. What is so hard to have 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi on a Wi-Fi printer? Why are we still running with 2.4 gigahertz? You know, transferring our print files. Yeah, okay, there might be a couple of kilobytes or megabytes, but what about high G-code files? What transfer rates? You know, they need to be faster. We want a stronger connection. We should have that already. You know, it's just...
Already rocking Klipper software on your printer? Meet the Klipper Chroma module. It's fast and limitless.
So if you're running a printer that's already got Klipper on there, on the system, then you don't need to buy the ChromaPad. You can just buy the KCM, and what that'll do is it'll have the same software that the actual ChromaPad has to mount into the existing Klipper printer, and then that will then hook up to your computer and slice software to enable you to initiate the multi-filament color printing system, which is a great concept, because on the other concept too, if you actually already own a Sonic pad because you've bought one for an older printer that ran Marlin or another type of firmware, then you don't actually even need a KCM, which converts a Marlin printer to a Klipper base, and you don't even need the ChromaPad. You can actually use, I actually have had this specifically verified from the actual owner and director of CoPrint, that you can actually use the Sonic pad with the ChromaSet and use the Sonic pad as the Sonic pad from Creality, but also incorporating the system of CoPrint's ChromaSet multi-filament configuration. So that to me is insane. Some people are going to say, you know,
Chroma Head is not just a tool head, it's a game changer. It's specially designed for multi-filament printing.
I don't know about you, they just
It's a real companion, which delivers precision and compatibility. Thanks to its unique rail plug system design, it's fully compatible with various...
Now that's a big thing. So for me, I've got K1 Max, okay, which has got the shaft and bearing design. I've also got a CR10 Smart Pro that's got linear rails. Then obviously you got other people who have got their old bearing rails. So, you know, you've got a universally compatible chroma head, hot end, you know, extrusion system. What more could you ask for?
Mechanical systems. Chroma Head manages effortlessly a variety of printing materials. The embedded Chroma hot end can heat up to 350 degrees Celsius. Its high temperature capacity allows you to utilize a wide range of filaments. Different colors, different materials. Thanks to Chroma Head's cutting mechanism, precision in every...
So you'll just notice there real quick, and I'm going to touch on this again in a second. The actual inside the head of the filaments extrusion system into the hot end, it is actually an all-metal design. Now, the closest thing we have to that is the all-metal Sprite extruder from Creality. Having pulled one of those apart myself, I can tell you it's not all fully aluminium, cast, or metal. Neither is all the gearing. So this is a complete mechanical steel gear system, which is not going to fail in the same way. They've also used the Japanese steel to cut the actual filament as it comes through, and there is no what we call poop shoot. Why is there any poop shoot? Well, CoPrint has developed a system called Purge Block, So what that does is it actually uses the filament that it doesn't use, that it cuts away when it changes into its color shift for the next color of the image that you're printing, then reuses that filament to actually print a purge, what they call a purge block, which in essence is actually a copy print of what you've just printed in a different variety of colors. So you're no longer wasting filament, you're actually able to print a secondary product of what you've just printed. Now, I've also been advised that in the future there will be updates to that system that will enable you to use that purge block, but in fact actually print another print with it as well. So that's crazy. You know, no more wasting filament. I know, for instance, a 60, anyone from Bambu Labs can argue this, but I've done the research. I've watched all the channels saying how they're trying to tune it out and make the most of not wasting filament. But a 60-gram colored print on any Bambu Labs machine, a 60-gram print will use 110 grams of filament minimum. Okay, so that's between a 50 and 70 gram wastage of just melted filament going into a bin. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's 40% of a 1 kilo roll of filament wasted. You know, if you're paying $30 to $40 Australian for me, and I'm paying, you know, I'm losing $15, $10 to $15 of my filament down the drain. I mean, it's a complete waste of money. Doesn't make any sense.
Free filament transition. Say goodbye to frustrating calibration efforts. CX1 extruder, where speed and precision collide. Titanium gears, a dual drive system, and high torque.
So once again, I'll just quickly say one more thing. Titanium gears, the extrusion system they've got on these CX1s, they are a 4-gear system, and they have 3 times the amount of extrusion feed rate. So the extrusion feed rate is 3 times faster than any other printer, let alone multicolor feeding printing systems. So, and they've tested that, and they've been developing this for a number of years. So the filament system itself, the volumetric flow is up to 6 millimeters per second. That's pretty quick. I think on average, I think it's usually around 3 to 4.5. To have it running, you know, at 6 millimeters flow per second in a multi-filament system with a, you know, full titanium feeder and all metal gear drive system is pretty impressive.
These features ensure powerful grip and thrust for smooth filament movement. With extended chrome module, add up to 5 ECMs to your chrome pad and expand up to 20 vibrant colors or diverse materials. We understand the challenges that come with 3D printing because we're enthusiasts, just like you. We've always been attuned to our community's voice.
All right, guys. This is just
2 years ago, our multi-filament module debuted on Kickstarter, innovating 3D printing color, guided and upgradability. We're excited for ChromaSet, the culmination of our dedication. Let's take another leap forward together and embrace the next big thing. ChromaSet, the future of 3D printing.
It probably really is going to be the future of 3D printing. I mean, I don't know why. It must be very difficult to do. I know there's been a couple of failures in the past. Someone mentioned about it on the Creality website in Australia, as well as CoPrint's Facebook page. There was another company that tried to do this and failed miserably on Kickstarter and delayed it by something like 3 years in development. To have a Bambu Labs AMS system be fully proprietary, and that's the other thing too. I'll start going through some images in a minute. We're going to dive into it. Is the simple fact of that we are going to basically fully open source. It's not going to be open source 6 months later. It is open source now. So they support open source from the get-go. So to me, that says a lot for a company to do that straight away is pretty impressive. So what we'll do now I'm just going to run through a few little bits and pieces. All right, so this is the main website, CoPrint 3D. 60% less printing time compared to 50mm second, print speeds. There you go. There you've got your 4 GB of RAM and 32 GB ROM with a Amlogic S905 times 3. Now the score on that, I've actually got those figures. The Antutu score is 75,000. When people say that's pretty low, well, actually it's not too bad because it's equivalent to a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. So that's actually not too bad. That's pretty good indeed. 1.9 gigahertz ARM Cortex A55, it's a 7-inch touchscreen, 32 gig ROM, 4 gig of RAM. I think the Sonic Pad has 2 gig of RAM and I think 16 or 20 gig of ROM, with two 1.5 or 1.6 gig processors on a 32-bit system. So this is pretty much double, maybe 2.5 more powerful than a Sonic Pad. Not to knock the Sonic Pad because I actually have one just to the left of me on my printing setup. I love the Sonic Pad, but I can see this thing just blowing that out of the park. Here's a bit of a layout of what you're going to be looking at in the ChromaPad. No one's really seen this or really looked at this, so you can basically have full clipper access. It's the printing ability is you can print everything from PLA, ABS, ASA, PETG, wood, nylon, carbon fiber, and there's many more. So what they're doing is they're using a Fatus, if I say that correctly, basically a hot end extrusion, which apparently is very well built system. So there it is there. So they've got the Fatus X CoPrint, which is the CoPrint. Now this thing can go up to 350 degrees Celsius, which, I mean, that outdoes Bambu Labs. It outdoes, I love Creality. I got the Creality ShareFest 2023 shirt on. Epic conference I went to. It was awesome. But, a 350 degree hot end and high flow too, straight out the bat. It's a high flow hot end. It's got a big heat block on it. It's gonna, it's pretty impressive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump across. What we've got here right now is there is your basics, and we've already sort of covered that. It will have on the release, they already have the pre-release app. It has full remote control. It will, because it's open source Clipper, it will be accessible via Mainsail and Fluid. And it also will have a app that you can actually utilize from your phone. I'm guessing, I know it's Android. I dare say it will be Apple as well. But that said, it's not going to be the same as, say, Creality Cloud. I know there's people, I think Creality Cloud, I like Creality Cloud for the basic of the simplicity of being able to see a print I like and just print it, and the coding of the file. Although there's not a lot of tweaking in the cloud slice software, it still prints very well. So I actually don't mind it. I don't think they're going to have a cloud. They will have a cloud network of print files. I'm not sure how it'll work though, compared to Creality Cloud itself, but they will be having a app as well for Android and Apple, and remote control as well, so on the fly. So that's pretty cool to hear. That's something really cool. We'll move over to this one here. So this is what we want to look at. Basically, we've got a 7-inch with the Chroma pad. You get obviously you get a USB connection, portable input shaping as well, which is important. SD card reader. It's got an IPS panel, which is pretty good, I think. It has the vibration sensors. It's 12 volt. The connection wireless is 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, which is good. No one's got a 5 gigahertz connection, so they're the first in the market to do that. It's running 4 gig of RAM. So for a touchscreen pad, that's quite impressive. It's got an ARM Cortex A55. It's got 3 USB port 2.0s. It's also got a 6-pin vibration socket. What have we got? 5 4-pin stepper ports. Oh, the stepper too. So with the stepper, the actual stepper drivers, there's 4 high-powered stepper drivers as well. that apparently are very impressive from what I've read up on. The stepper drivers are quite impressive. So that's something to keep in mind. It's a 64-bit system, and also the actual pin itself. So we'll just go through here. It's got the Amlogic S95X3 processor and 4 stepper drivers. It will run a maximum of 500 millimeters a second, which is as quick as a Bambu P1S, P1P, and X1 Carbon. Recommended speed is 300 millimeters a second, but you can obviously up that in the future and go even faster. As far as the KCM is concerned, the KCM, it enables the printers that are already running Clipper-based software to add the functionality. Basically, it has the software built into it to add to your Clipper 3D printer, to add the multi-filament slicing information and signaling, so that you can multicolor filament, so that if you do have a Clipper based printer, you do not need a chroma pad. So that's a good thing as well, and that'll save you probably around between 190 US to 280, 270 AUD. Don't quote me on that. That's just base prices at the moment. It's early release, so that may change. The printer head itself, the chroma head, they say, it has the servo motor. It's got a Rhino servo motor that controls the filament and doesn't purge. It basically blade cuts off, as I mentioned before, inside the chroma head. It's got a dual drive gear system as well, so it feeds dual drive, no plastic gearing, which means you're not going to suffer from wear and tear. You're not going to suffer from broken gear tooths, from having lower quality gear sprockets in there. It also has titanium gears in the CX1 extruders. The CX1 extruders, you can buy them in the kit as a 4-pack unit, or you can buy them as an add-on as one as well. Apparently what it's running is it's showing, it looks like a CR Touch there. That may be the end result, but at the moment it's running a BL Touch, and it runs 3 fans. So the cooling on the extruder is quite advanced and quite well done. So you've got 2 420 turbine fans that print cooling from the side, and then you have another 420 fan for the hot end and for the cooling tube. So the fan ratio based on the 420 capacity is around, I think it's 11,500 RPM. Couldn't tell you what that is in air pressure, but I know it's a lot. It's pretty close to the K1 Max, if not a little bit higher, because it doesn't rely on a enclosed side fan like the K1s do, and I think the Bambu Labs do as well. So it does have, because it purely relies on just the chroma head, the system extrusion itself, it has more fans at a higher amp and voltage to supply more airflow. So that's a positive as well. The Fadus hot end. So this is a really important one. Although the chroma head itself, it does have a universal backing plate, which is really good. So it will adapt to any rail system. And if it doesn't, they CoPrint have already acknowledged and said that they will actually have STL files available for you to download to print even in ASA, carbon, ABS, PETG, or other filaments that are even stronger, because of the temperature of the hot end being up to 350 degrees and a flow rate of 67 millimeters 3 seconds, that you can print any backing plate for the extruder to fit any printer on the market today. So that in itself is amazing, and I don't think anyone does that. The cutter, obviously, as I said, is Japanese made steel. It's a dual drive. Cutting torque is 20 kilograms, which is, that's quite a bit of, imagine 20 kilo weight plate, but then you had a sharpened blade edged on it and you pushed it against your foot. You cut your whole foot off. So that's a pretty high sprung Japanese cutting blade there to have that. Now it does have BL Touch, which some people aren't a big fan of. Personally, I would probably swap that out to a CR Touch. Not that there's much of a difference, but the CR Touch doesn't wear out as quick. It does have the stainless drop pin on it. It is slightly a bit more advanced and accurate, whereas the BL Touch is a plastic electrode and drop pin, which can wear out after a period of time. You can basically print from 0.25 millimeter heads, 0.3, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8. Not sure about 1.0, but I know you can go 0.25 to 0.8. The supported filaments at this stage in development are PLA, ABS, TPU, PETG, PLA, carbon fiber, wood, and soluble, and TPU. So that's pretty cool as well. That's our KCM. So that's for if you've got a clipper-based system, which you can see on the side there. That's actually a K1 Max to the left. That'll save you a lot of money because you don't have to buy the chroma pad. So you basically just get the KCM, you get a CX1 extruders, and you get the chroma head, and you're ready to rock and roll. Now here's the nitty gritty parts of it. So anyone who's wondering how and what they would do to buy a set, either if they jump on the Kickstarter program, there's still an opportunity for you to get the early bird sales through Kickstarter and save, 40% off the total price of even the smaller kits, or 30% off, which is quite a substantial saving. So there's still time for that. That's going to expire on the 2nd of December, I think. So you might want to jump into that pretty quick, considering it's the 23rd. By the time this video drops, it'll be the 24th. So you're going to have basically 9 days, just over a week. So as you can see there, you got a standard printer, you have the ChromaSet with the chroma pad, you have your chroma head, and you have your KCM, CX1 extruder. Then if you want to expand it, you can have 8 filaments, and then you can get an ECM. So you can see just by watching that, looking at this diagram, you can pretty much tell for yourself. You can see that there's different type of printers. There's Core XY printers. There's anyone who says, oh, I've got a Voron, or I've got an Ender 5 S1, or all these different machines. Yes, it will support it. Okay, I have seen in action the CX1 extruders mounted on a K1 Max. I have also seen them demoed on a Ender 5. They don't even need to be mounted on the machine. They can actually be sat on the table next to it, the printer, or they can be mounted overhead on a shelf. You could even run them directly, like everyone does. We create things. That's what 3D printing is about. You could, off your spool rack, you could actually mount them straight off of that and have, anywhere from 4 to 20 rolls of filament feeding in at once. So pretty impressive stuff, I'd have to say. There's the full kit. So if you buy a chroma pad, you buy the chroma head, you get 4 CX1 extruders, you get a high power unit with it with power surge protection, which is really important, and a lot of printers have that. And you have mounting plates. So anyone, I think it's got 420 or 520, or the standard tubing railing that Creality printers have, Vorons, Artilleries, Prusa's, all those printers have. You can mount them on the top rail, or you can mount them to a bracket on the wall, or on the wall themselves, and then on a shelf or on the table. The possibilities of wherever you want to mount your filament feeding extruder systems is endless. Like I said, they're all at titanium internal, spring loaded, so they're very, very high end quality. This is just talking about the progression. So the timeline we've got, November is concept design. We've already passed that. January, They've already done a massive tour all over America. Nathan Builds Robots just did a convention where he called out the manufacturer of CoPrint basically on why their filament sensor is actually inside the chroma head. And he said, do you think that's a good idea? It should be, where the filament is at the top of the rail of the machine. Well, I actually laughed at that because, sorry to Nathan, Builders Robots, I don't think you're an engineer. I am an mechanical engineer, and I am actually a computer design engineer, amongst other things. So having a filament sensor in the actual chroma head filament extrusion, what it does is it enables the system itself to fully extrude the filament before it actually pauses the system, the print, so that you can refeed fresh filament in. If you have a sensor like we all have now that has it running off the tube or running off the top rail, then into a direct drive, the sensor's at the top. So as soon as the filament runs out through the sensor, then you've got, say, 40 centimeters of filament that's just hanging there because the sensor triggers there's no more filament. So what do? You have to put another roll in, feed it out, and you've either got to extrude 30 to 40 centimeters of filament, which is a complete waste, or you've got to basically pull the pin, heat it up, and yank it out. So, sorry, Nathan Builds Robots. Look, you've got a great channel. I've just started, but I think you should keep the engineering and design stuff to the engineers and designs and just do the reviews. Anyway, moving on from that one. I'm one of those guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to tell you how it is. If you want to, if you don't like it, bad luck. But basically, what I do is I look at things for what they are. When we go in here, we can see the opening up the extrusion here. You can see the BL touch on this one here. Now, obviously, you got the motor there, 4.7 watt Rhino 3D, which is pretty good brand. With the extrusion filament intake heads, they are coming out stock with a 8 intake Bowden tube head into the filament extrusion into the hot end, but they will also be coming out with an adapter piece, basically, that screws in, that also has a 20 Bowden tube intake into it as well. So if you do go from 4 CX1s to 8 CX1s running 8 filaments, and then you want to upgrade to 12, 16, 20, then you don't have to buy 3 or 4 stages of tube filament intakes. You can basically just go from the 8 to the 20, knowing that you can always expand without having to worry about buying it again. So that is awesome. I think they've done a really good job, guys, of thinking ahead of this. I hope I've answered a lot of questions. One of the other things also as well, they've decided to go with 4-pin Molex cables rather than Type-C cable connectors. And the reason why is because they're more reliable. How are they more reliable? Well, with Type-C connections, they tend to wear quicker, and the Molex connections are a lot more stable, and they can handle the temperature better, and they're a more secure connection. So that's good for longevity as well. Extruder cover is also injected molded, but when the final release comes along, as you can see with that one there, the final one will actually be a higher base material that will be fully injected molded on the final release. So that's a good thing to know as well. Also, just to touch on other things as well, that the co-print system and the ChromaSet, whether you go to ChromaPad, whether you go with just the KCM if you've got a clipper printer system already, or you've got a Sonic pad like I do, you won't even need a ChromaPad. You can use your Sonic pad, buy the KCM, which is a cheaper kit, which will just have your KCM, which is your software that'll enable your clipper printer to acknowledge the software for the multi-filament extrusion and slicing. I don't have a lot of information on the slicing software. I have been advised that you can use Orca Slicer, Prusa Slicer, Cura, but just about every open source slicer you can use, obviously outside of Bambu Labs, because everything Bambu Labs does is proprietary, just like their parts. You can't upgrade anything because it's all proprietary. There is no aftermarket upgrades apart from hot ends, nozzles that you buy from China that are made by third-party companies that void your warranty. So, great job, Bambu Labs. Look, I'm not knocking the printers. They are a fantastic printer, but they do fall short on open source proprietary parts. That's their biggest downfall, and they waste a ton of filament with multi. I don't care what anyone says. I've got one. And I got rid of it. Why did I get rid of it? Because I was wasting too much filament. I fine-tuned the absolute hell out of it. And I pride myself on being someone who does very good prints, knows a hell of a lot about slicing software and settings. And, to only be able to reduce the poop, let's say, by 40% in my eyes is not good enough. Lastly, with the ECMs, the way they work is if you want to basically increase your number of filaments you can run, you just basically buy another ECM. The ECMs are daisy chained, which is basically just plugging one cable into another, and then that feeds off the rest of them, and that turns it from, you know, a single 1x to a 20x. Like I said, at the moment at launch, at still running at Kickstarter now. So jump on Kickstarter if you want to have a look at it. Look up the Print ChromaSet. I'm going to put a link in the description. There's also a link for the Kickstarter that's going to give you a discount and also an option to be a premium member. Now, if you do join as a premium member, you will get I think it's an extra discount. You get extra materials, or you get filament. I think you get a type of glue. I can't remember what it's called. I know it's about $30 or $40 a tube on Amazon. It's not cheap. Apparently, it's really good stuff. And you do get some other goodies as well for being a member. I will put that link in the description, and it's an affiliate link. I do get a small commission for it, although this is not a paid monetized review. I've done this purely off my own back. I have backed them because I feel I've been waiting for a system like this that can do this for a long time. I have multiple printers and a Sonic pad and a K1 Max, and I love them, and Ender 3s and whatnot. But, you know, after seeing this and actually communicating with support at CoPrint back and forth, I feel this is going to be a big game changer for a lot of people who can't afford not only the bigger machines, the more expensive machines, but it's going to enable people who have the older printers to basically turn their old printer into a brand new printer, which for me, I think is absolutely fantastic. Basically, that's about it. As you can see here, once again, these are your basic sets. If you've got a printer-based printer, KCM set basically is your chroma head, your KCM, and your CX1 extruders. You can buy anywhere from one CX1 extruder and build up from 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can jump straight into a kit on Kickstarter. They've got the early bird. I think they had the hyper early bird. They've got the early bird kit. They've got the super savings kit still available on Kickstarter, and the savings kit, like I said, jump on a Kickstarter if you haven't heard about it. It's a great website to get onto to support companies that are already established and new companies in development of new equipment. You don't have to buy into it if you don't want to. You can support them just by clicking the support and follow, or you can even just give a donation as little as $1, and that'll enable you to be part of the Kickstarter program. You'll have access to all the manufacturing updates. You'll have access to all the ongoing firmware software developments prior to the full manufacturing and release. That said, though, if you do decide to purchase a kit, make sure you click that link because it will give you a discount on the kit that you decide to go with. Those Kickstarter discount packages do close on the 2nd of December. So if you're going to do it, jump in quick. Like I said, it goes into production in January, and they'll be shipping as of late February, early March. I'm excited to get a hold of one. I honestly can't wait. One last thing, there's the servo there. So there's the 20 kilo servo. That motor that actually has a pressurized system that uses the Japanese steel blade to cut the filament through. So that was just one last thing I wanted to skip on. And also the easy plug adapter. So the CX1 holder is a universal fit. So not only does it mount onto, 420 rails, 520s, all that sort of stuff, that you use your little, I don't know what they're called, those little D nuts, but you can also mount it to a shelf, mount it to a wall. You can make your own brackets. You can have it sitting on a desk area. It's pretty much endless. So I think they've gone well and above everything. You've got a faster, if you do go to ChromaPad, you've got an awesome pad system. It's open source. They've got so many investors in this set, and so many companies that are already involved, from you know, the Snapdragon processors to the app companies to the slicers, to specifically working with Creality in China. They've already jumped on board with head office there, and Creality are over the moon with that. They are looking at doing a multi-filament system themselves, but they don't have any problem themselves supporting another company that can enable their customers that buy their Creality equipment to have a multi-filament color printing system. So I think that's fantastic. Basically, guys, that's it for me. You know, I've given you everything I can on this. I think it's a fantastic system that's coming out. I've ordered mine. I've gone above and beyond. I've really, you know, I've just pumped. I really want to get onto it. I can't wait for this to arrive. So if you've got any problems, check out the links that'll be in the description, Facebook page, YouTube page. And don't forget, click that like button, click that subscribe button, comment below, help me in the algorithm. All I want to do, guys, is give honest opinions, honest reviews, tell you guys all about the new products. And, you know, let's not let all the people who do these reviews just promote all the big stuff. Look after the little guys. We're the ones that buy the products. We're the ones that work for our hard-earned money to put into these products, to put into these printers that we want to work, that we don't want to fail, that we don't want to have warranty and replacement parts. So, you know, just like with my K1 Mix Max video, Creality, listen to that as well, with the, you know, the extrusion upgrades and things like that. You know, it's all about community pressure. If we can put more pressure on these companies, you know, we get better quality, you know, better customer service and cheaper prices and better competition. So that's all from me. Chris is out. Subscribe, like, comment below, whatever you want to say, just say it. I love it. Click the link, Kickstarter, check it out. If you want it, click the link, help a brother out. I'm out. Check out CoPrint. Peace.